И эти люди, лишенные совести и чести, люди с моралью животных, имеют наглость призывать к уничтожению великой русской нации. Немецкие захватчики хотят иметь истребительную войну с народом СССР. Что же, если немцы хотят иметь истребительную войну, они ее получат.
Those had been the fighting words of the Russian leader Joseph Stalin, in which he declared the Germans' intent to fight a war of annihilation would be met by a similar campaign from the motherland. A most prophetic speech. Many brutal battles were fought between the two superpowers, culminating in the disastrous siege of Stalingrad. And about a month prior to that, the Germans had suffered an equally devastating defeat at El Alamein. This put Rommel's forces on the run, and throughout the beginning of 1943, we chased them across North Africa. This truly was the beginning of the end for the Nazi regime. But, I'm sorry to say, they still had plenty of fight left, and more than a few tricks to play. There's an unwritten rule when it comes to war, and that is win by any means necessary, no matter how disreputable. Victory through strength of arms is often seen as the more honourable tactic, whereas espionage is regarded as schemy and vile. And it's not hard to see why. A well-placed spy can potentially do more damage than an entire army, and an operative skilled enough to blend into an enemy force or society is an insidious enemy, often leading to paranoia and suspicion, whether it's justified or not.
Give it back, Cartwright! The hell I will! I'm taking this to the General! Go ahead, make a bigger fool of yourself. I could do with a laugh. You care to explain this gobbledygook on this letter? It's Welsh, you blithering idiot! It's to my grandfather! Oh yeah? How do I know it's not German? I wouldn't expect a blockhead like you to know English, let alone another language. Alright, you Welsh wanker. You asked for it. Come on, let me see hands in the air. Gladly. Alright, break it up! Break it up! You two are confined to quarters pending court-martial proceedings. But sir, I don't want to hear it, Corporal. You're soldiers of His Majesty's Army, not a pair of pub-crawling brawlers. Sergeant? Yes, sir. Any man who doesn't want to be charged as an accessory to conduct unbecoming had best get back to work. Smart move. I'm sure glad that ended quickly. Me too. Fancy getting called out over something as trivial as writing a letter home. It wouldn't be the first time. Remember last month when Corporal Wallace received that letter from his Uncle Luther? Oh yeah, that got ugly real quick. I don't think I've seen Wallace since. I heard MI6 came to question him. Next day, he was gone. You don't think they locked him up, do you? Either that, or they made him an interpreter. Regrettably,
I think the former outcome is more likely than the latter. Lest we forget what happened to the yardmaster at Elsbridge. What do you mean? Oh, you didn't hear about that? It happened just before we left. The police came to question him. What about? Apparently, he spent some time in Germany in the 30s. They wanted to know how much time and what he did. According to him, they very nearly asked how many times a day he went to the lavatory. What a load of rubbish! I wouldn't stand for that. I highly doubt we'd have a say in the matter, Thomas. Reason is the first casualty of paranoia. Have you ever thought about writing philosophy, Gordon? No, I haven't. Good. Why, you little... As much as I'd love to see how this'll end, I've got to run. Are you heading to the front? Yep. According to the lads, we're very near to pushing the Germans out of Africa. But they need this lot to keep it up. I'll see you blokes later. Stay safe, mate. Goodbye, Peter. Now what's going to happen here? I don't know. One of the couplings might have snapped. Bother! We were making such good time too. Come now, Peter. Don't go getting in a tizzy. We'll have a look. Jesus Christ! What the hell was that? The bridge exploded! What do you mean, exploded? I mean it's now in tiny bits! All burned up and smouldering! Crikey, we could have been on that bloody thing when it blew. We should have been. And with all this petrol, dear God, that was lucky. Bloody oath it was. Blimey, Peter, talk about a close call. You're not wrong. And considering what we found in my brake van, it's no small wonder how I avoided going up in flames. Look! What the? Is that the lucky lamp? How in fizzling fireboxes did it get here? That's a very good question, Douglas. Although, we did take on a lot of equipment and supplies before leaving Sodor. Maybe it got picked up along the way. That seems unlikely, Edward. And surely we would have noticed it before now. Given its record for spontaneous travel, I wouldn't be surprised if it's made the rounds across the entire theatre before now. I don't care how far or wide it's gone. I'm just grateful it found its way onto my train. And so you should, old chap. How do you suppose the Mid-Sodor boys are getting on without it? I'm sure they're just fine. Evening, Mike. Evening, Gus. What's new? Not much. Yourself? My boy's thinking of signing up. You mean here? No, the army. Oh, sorry to hear. Me too. Oh, Tom wanted to see you when you got here. Right. Ta. Evening, Tom. Ah, Gus, my dear fellow. Would you excuse us, gentlemen? Mike said you wanted to see me? Yes. How are you acclimatizing to life on Sodor? Fine. considering they keep banging on about the evils of fascism and what our group did to their precious little island. To hear them tell it, we would try and take over the place. I know. Their ignorance astounds me. Which is why I think it's time to teach them a lesson and show Britain we're still a force to be reckoned with. What do you have in mind? Well, my sources tell me a large supply shipment is being assembled for delivery to Africa. If something terrible were to happen to it, and you want me to make sure something does, not just you, of course. Our man on Sodor should be able to assist. Are you sure? He hasn't been of much help lately thanks to that repulsive station master. Don't worry, that will be taken care of. Once it has, we can proceed. Excellent. I almost feel sorry for the Sodrians. Do you really? No. Obviously, with 8 of us serving abroad, the rest of Sodor's engines were hard-pressed keeping up with the ever-increasing workload. At least, they were, until a number of others were called in from across the UK to assist, most of whom had visited our little island on previous occasions. It's so nice to have you back, Winston. We've been struggling to handle the heavy goods work ever since Henry left. It's my pleasure, Toby. It's great to be back. Though, I wish I could have come sooner to say goodbye to Edward. You know, just in case.
I wouldn't worry about it, Winston. He'll come back. They all will. I know it.
That's the spirit, Eric. Oh, while I've got you here, are you taking the troop train today?
Yeah. Why?
I just wanted to tell you to be careful with it.
I will. Just as I was the last time, and the time before that. I would have been careful even if you hadn't told me both times.
I did? Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I know why.
Well, I don't. What's the matter, Toby? We had an accident with a troop train here on Sodor back during the First World War. First World War? That's what they're calling the Great War now. Like I said, there was an accident and a couple of deaths. I've always been tentative when it comes to handling troop trains ever since.
Was it you who had the accident?
No,
Get back to work, you slackers!
Ark! Are you still here, Jeffries?
That's Station Master Jeffries!
When are you going to get it through your thick skull, Jeffries? We will never call you that.
And when are you going to learn to shut your gobs?
You have no authority over our right to speak.
If it relates to the war, I beg to differ. It's bad enough the papers are plastered with headlines of death and destruction. The passengers don't need to be constantly reminded of such atrocities by a couple of loudmouth engines talking about it.
Of all the idiotic things I've ever heard you say, Jeffries, that is by far the most imbecilic.
Oh? And why is that? Forget it. I don't care what a steam-powered cattle truck has to say about anything.
Then you won't mind if I say you're a complete arse, will you?
What was that?
Oh, so you do care. Just as I thought, you miserable bastard.
How dare you! I ought to take an axe and chop you into kindling. I'm going to...
Oh, shit. All right, I think we've got all that we need. Thank you for your cooperation, Toby. You're welcome, officer. Don't blame yourself, Toby. Why not? He died because of me. It was his choice to pick a fight, his choice to act like a deranged lunatic. And between you and me, the lads and I had always suspected someone would take him out sooner or later. This way is much, much easier. Glad to be of service then. Don't give me attitude, Toby. I'm sorry. Can I go? You can. If I need you further, I'll contact Mr. Starr. Very well. Goodbye. Lads, what's going on over there? Jeffries died. What? Really? Who finally went and snuffed him? Was it one of the porters?
No. He had a heart attack brought on by an argument with Toby.
With Toby? Huh. It's always the ones you least suspect. Hey, Toby! Good on you, mate! Oh, go to hell, Diesel! Oh, nice. What did I do? Diesel, you are a complete prat. Jesus Christ. Try and give a bloke a compliment and everyone jumps all over you. Typical.
Evening, Bobby. Good evening, Gus. How are we on this bright and beautiful night? You're very cheerful. And why wouldn't I be? Surely you heard about what happened to Jeffries? I did. Tragic. And a little confusing. I heard he died of a heart attack. That's what makes it all the sweeter. Because it saved you taking him out? Or had you already tried? Would it matter to you if I had? Not in the slightest. He can't interrupt us like he has every other time. Worthless busybody. May he not rest in peace. I'll drink to that. Just as I will to our triumph this time tomorrow. It's happening tomorrow. It is. Have you noticed the crate I'm standing next to? The one filled with tractor parts? Not filled with tractor parts. No. So, how are we going to do this? Simple. We load it into your brake van and it gets taken to Knapford as the schedule says. You simply set the timer and walk away. How long will I have? 30 minutes? That should be long enough for you to get clear. Just hop on a bus at the station. Or run, whichever comes first. We'll meet at my house tomorrow night and then we'll get the hell off this island. Thank God. One more day on this miserable scrap of land and I'll lose my mind. Does anyone know how Toby's doing? I last saw him up at Farquhar. He looked pretty miserable and said he was going to spend the night there. I guess he just wanted some time alone. The poor fellow. I do hope you mean Toby and not Jeffries. I do mean Toby, James. But for the record, I never really met Jeffries, so I shan't judge him. Oh, so you are capable of not passing judgment, Alfie. You learn something new every day. You have absolutely no right to gripe about being judged, Jeffy. Not after that abysmal trick you pulled on me in London all those years ago. How many times do I have to apologize for that? What will it take for you to let it go? For you to return to Railgate and never come out again? Lads, you might want to pipe up about now. Why would we do that? Because I don't take kindly to bickering. Oh, good morning, Mr. Starr. Morning, Geoffrey. Is there going to be a problem between you and Alfred? No, sir. No, sir. Good, because we have a very full day ahead of us. That shipment will be leaving for Africa soon, and we need to make up for the time we lost yesterday. Donald and Percy, you two will shunt the trucks at the harbour. Yes, Aye,
sir. Geoffrey and Winston, you'll be collecting trains from Elsbridge and bringing them to the quays.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Alfred, you'll take the express as normal. But once you get back, I want you at the harbour to help with the shunting, as there's bound to be a lot of it. Yes, sir. Happy to help. James, you'll be collecting a goods train from Alsborough for delivery to the harbour. I'll be riding with you on this one.
You will, sir?
I have a meeting with the manager of the Mid-Sodor Railway, so it's a matter of convenience.
Understood, sir.
Any questions? No? Right then, engines. Let's get to it.
Toby, so good to see you, dear chap. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. Well, better than yesterday.
That's progress. If you need anything, just ask.
Thank you, Alfred. I could use some help right now if you can.
Of course. Name it.
I'm told the train on track 5 has been emptied. Can you shunt it out the way, please?
Whereabouts exactly? Most of the sidings are full.
Put it on Pier 1. There should be room enough for it.
Very well. I'll get right to it.
Cheers.
I say, Alfie, how does it feel to go from being a premier express engine to a simple shunter? You mean how does it feel to be a productive, law-abiding member of society? Pretty damn good. You should try it sometimes. I really should have anticipated that. Yes, you should have. Railgate has clearly stunted your intellect. You might just be the world's first quarter-wit. Oh, very droll, Alfie. You have the same caliber of humor as a German. I suppose that accounts for your name. One of these days, Jeffy, you and I are going to come to blows. I always expected we would. The question's only been when.
Not today, if it can be helped. Alfred, can you hold off moving this train a moment?
Certainly. Is something wrong?
The manifest is missing a page, and I just want to look inside the brake van to see if it's there. I won't be long.
Take your time. Yes, take your time. Alfred does need his rest. I've been working just as hard as you. You haven't been trudging back and forth with goods trains all day. You're a heavy goods engine. You're designed...
Oh dear God!
What? What is it?
There's a bloody bomb on this train!
A bomb? Are you sure?
It's got wires and a timer. I'm pretty bloody sure.
Good Lord! And all this explosive material? What did the timer read?
Under 2 minutes.
That's plenty of time. Alfred, what are you doing?
Goodness, Jeffrey! What's all the excitement?
There was a bomb on that train, and Alfred decided to play the hero.
Oh no!
I know, the damn fool.
That's not what I meant!
James, look out!
What the?
All things considered, what happened that day could have been much, much worse. Amazingly, only the back part of James's train had been destroyed. However, the explosion took the life of his guard, Alfred, and Mr. Starr. Our lads on Sodor were devastated to hear of our director's death, as were we. A memorial would be held to commemorate the great man, and I'm pleased to say by that point, his death had been justly avenged. After Jeffries died, an autopsy revealed the cantankerous station master had been poisoned. The police searched his workplace and found the poison in the office of the yardmaster, Robert Carrigan. He was quick to cut a deal by selling out his partner, Angus Sullivan, one of a number of new railwaymen transferred to Sodor. He too made a deal and gave up the name and location of the group he was associated with, which was revealed to be a splinter group of the supposedly disbanded British Union Party. After combing through the group's files, it was revealed the German SS had been supporting them. This added further charges to the ever-growing list of felonies against the group. Those who weren't executed for treason and espionage were sentenced to life in prison. As I said, their crimes were justly avenged, and the Nazis were soon to pay for theirs. On May 12, 1943, the Axis forces surrendered in North Africa, and come 1944, the end of the war was in sight.